The factory floor was hot and loud. Deho wiped the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. His fingers were covered in black grease from the alien machinery. Around him, hundreds of other humans worked in silence. Nobody talked anymore. Talking got you beaten by the guards. The guards were not human. They were Vakrians. Tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were black and cold. They carried weapons that could turn a man into ash in seconds. Deho had seen it happen 3 times in the past month. He picked up another piece of metal. His job was simple. Take the parts, fit them together, pass them down the line. The parts would become weapons. Weapons the Vakrians would use to conquer more worlds. More species would suffer like humanity was suffering now. 3 months ago, Earth had been free. Deho had been a soldier then. A good one. He had trained for years in the Korean Special Forces. He knew how to fight, how to survive, how to kill. But none of that mattered when the Vakrians came. Their ships had filled the sky like a swarm of metal insects. Thousands of them. Earth's defenses had fired everything they had. Missiles, railguns, orbital platforms. Nothing worked. The Vakrian shields were too strong. Their weapons were too powerful. In 3 months, every major city was burning. Every military base was rubble. Deho remembered the last battle. He had been in Seoul with his unit. They had fought for 17 hours straight. His brother Junho had been with him. Junho was younger by 2 years, but he was braver than anyone Deho knew. They had stood back to back as the Vakrian soldiers poured into the streets. Then the building exploded. Deho woke up in a camp 3 days later. Junho was gone. Nobody could tell him what happened. The other survivors said Junho was dead, that he had been buried under the rubble. Deho did not want to believe it, but after 3 months, hope was a stupid thing to hold on to. A loud horn blared through the factory. Lunch break. 30 minutes to eat the gray paste the Vakrians called food. Deho shuffled to the serving line with the others. Nobody pushed. Nobody complained. That was what defeat looked like. 1,000 people moving like ghosts. He took his bowl and sat on the floor in the corner. The paste tasted like metal and dirt. He ate it anyway. Starving was worse. Deho. He looked up. A woman stood above him. She was thin like everyone else. Her hair was cut short and uneven. Her name was Heejin. Before the invasion, she had been a teacher. Now she was something else. Something dangerous. Not here, Deho whispered. The guards. I know. Heejin said quietly. She sat down next to him. We tried again last night. Deho's stomach dropped. The bombing? Yes. We got 3 of us into the command center. We had the explosives ready. Her voice was flat, empty. They knew. They were waiting for us. How many? Deho asked. All of them. 12 people. Dead. Deho closed his eyes. 12 more humans gone. The resistance was dying. Every attack failed. The Vakrians were too smart, too prepared. They had conquered hundreds of worlds before Earth. They knew how to crush rebellion. We have to stop, Deho said. We cannot win like this. Then how do we win? Heejin's eyes were hard, angry. By making their weapons? By being slaves? Forever? By staying alive, Deho said. Dead people do not get revenge. Heejin stood up. Maybe, but I would rather die fighting than live like this. She walked away before he could respond. The horn blared again. Break was over. Deho went back to his station. His hands moved automatically. Pick up the part. Fit it together. Pass it down. Again and again. His mind wandered. He thought about Junho. About the last thing his brother had said to him. If I do not make it, you keep fighting. Promise me. Deho had promised. But what did fighting look like now? Was Heijin right? Should they all die trying to hurt the enemy? Or was survival the only victory left? That night, Deho lay on his sleeping mat in the barracks. 200 men crowded into a space meant for 50. The air smelled like unwashed bodies and despair. He stared at the ceiling and waited for sleep. His wrist buzzed. Deho froze. He looked down. The small device on his wrist was glowing. It was his old military communicator. He had hidden it when the Vakrians captured him. It had not worked for months. The Vakrians had shut down all human communications. But now it was active. With shaking hands, Deho pressed the button. A message appeared on the tiny screen. It was encrypted. Old military code. Code that only special forces knew. His fingers remembered the pattern. He decrypted it quickly. 3 lines of text appeared. The Reaper still hunts. Stay alive. J. Deho's heart stopped. J. Junho. His brother's initial. It was impossible. Junho was dead. This had to be a trick. The Vakrians, testing him, trying to find more resistance members, but the code was perfect. Nobody outside of Korean special forces knew this encryption. Not even the other human militaries. It was specific to his unit. To the people he had trained with for 5 years. Deho deleted the message quickly. He lay back down. His mind was racing. The Reaper. That had been Junho's call sign. His brother had always been the best sniper in their unit. Silent. Deadly. Like the Grim Reaper himself. Could Junho be alive? And if he was, what did the message mean? The Reaper still hunts. Hunts what? The Vakrians? How? The human military was destroyed. There were no ships, no weapons, no organized resistance left. Stay alive. That part was clear, at least. Junho wanted him to survive. But why? What was the point? Deho closed his eyes but could not sleep. Questions filled his mind like poison. 3 days later, the broadcasts began. Every screen in every camp showed the same thing. Commander Velthar. The Vakrian, who controlled Earth's occupation. He stood in front of a burning city. Human prisoners knelt at his feet. "Attention, humans," Velthar said. His voice was translated into every Earth language. "Some of you still believe you can resist. You cannot. Your species is defeated. Your world is ours. You exist now only to serve the Vakrian Empire." He gestured to the prisoners. "These individuals attempted to attack our forces. Watch what happens to those who resist." The guards raised their weapons. The prisoners did not scream. They did not beg. They just stared at the camera, with empty eyes. The weapons fired. The prisoners turned to ash. "You are not warriors anymore," Velthar continued. "You are livestock, animals, property. Accept this truth, and you will live. Fight it, and you will die. This is your future. Forever." The broadcast ended. Around Deho, the other workers stood frozen. Some were crying. Others just stared at nothing. This was what defeat looked like. Complete and total. But Deho thought about the message. The Reaper still hunts. Maybe defeat was not complete after all. Maybe somewhere out in the darkness of space, humanity still had teeth. Maybe the Vakrians had not won. Not yet. That same day, reports started to spread through the camps. Whispered conversations between workers. Stories from the guards who talked too much. Strange things were happening in the outer colonies. Vakrian patrol ships were disappearing. At first, it was 1 or 2. Lost to mechanical failure, the official report said. Then it was 5. Then 10. The Vakrians stopped making announcements about it, but the humans who worked in the communication centers heard everything. They passed the information along in secret. Something was hunting the Vakrians. Something they could not catch. Something they could not stop. Deho did not let himself hope. Hope was dangerous. Hope got you killed. But late at night, when the barracks were quiet and dark, he touched the communicator on his wrist. He thought about his brother. About the message. The Reaper still hunts. Maybe the war was not over. Maybe it was just beginning. And maybe, just maybe, the Vacrians had made a terrible mistake when they thought they had won. 6 months had passed since the invasion ended. On the Vacrian homeworld, celebrations filled the streets. Their empire had conquered Earth. Another primitive species added to their collection. Another world that would serve them forever. Admiral Krenzak did not celebrate. He stood on the bridge of his flagship and stared at the reports. Numbers that did not make sense. Ships that vanished without explanation. Supply convoys that never arrived at their destinations. "Show me the map again," he ordered. The tactical display lit up. Red dots marked the locations where Vacrian vessels had disappeared. There were 47 red dots now. 47 ships. Gone. "It started 3 months ago," his second officer said. "Single ships at first. Scouts and small transports. We assumed equipment failures. And now?" Krenzak asked. "Now it is getting worse. Last week we lost an entire supply convoy. 15 ships. 5,000 troops. Not a single distress signal. Just gone." Krenzak studied the pattern. The disappearances were spreading, starting from the outer edges of Vacrian space and moving inward, toward Earth, toward the territories they had just conquered. "Pirates?" he suggested. "No pirate group has this kind of capability," the second officer replied. "And pirates take cargo. They leave wreckage. These ships just vanish completely. No debris, no survivors, nothing." "Then what is it?" The second officer hesitated. "Some of the crews are saying it is the humans." Krenzak's forearms tensed. "Impossible. We destroyed their fleet. We occupied their world. They have no ships, no weapons, no organization." "Yes, Admiral. That is what I told them." But Krenzak was not convinced. He had fought in 17 conquest campaigns. He knew what defeated enemies looked like. And he knew what dangerous enemies looked like. Sometimes, they were the same thing. "Prepare my personal squadron," he ordered. "We are going to investigate." On Earth, Deho worked his shift in the factory. His hands moved automatically now. 6 months of the same motion had made it mindless. Pick up the part, fit it together, pass it down. But his mind was not empty. It was full of questions. The message from Junho had not repeated. No more encrypted communications. Just silence. Deho had almost convinced himself it was a hallucination. Stress and grief playing tricks. Then he met Minseo. She appeared next to him during the lunch break. Young, maybe 20 years old. Her hands were stained with chemical burns. She worked in the maintenance tunnels below the camp. "You are Deho," she said. Not a question. A statement. "Yes." "Who are you?" "Minseo. I repair their machines." She sat down and lowered her voice. "I also break their machines. When they are not looking." "I munter." Deho looked around nervously. Guards were everywhere. "You should not tell me that." "Why?" "You are special forces. You killed 40 Vacrians in Seoul before they captured you." "I checked." "How did you check?" "Their records are locked." Minseo smiled. It was the first smile Deho had seen in months. "I am very good with computers. Before the invasion, I was the best hacker in South Korea. Maybe in all of Asia." Minseo Philly. Minseo smiled. Deho had seen. Minseo smiled. Minseo smiled. Deho had seen, and was the best hacker in South Korea. "Now, I use those skills to stay alive." "What do you want from me?" "To show you something." She pulled out a small device. It looked like a broken piece of Vacrian equipment. She pressed a hidden switch. A holographic display appeared between them. It showed a star map. Red dots. Dozens of them. "What is this?" Deho asked. "Vacrian ships. Destroyed or missing in the last 3 months." Minseo pointed to the pattern. "Look at the locations. Look at the timing." Deho studied the map. His military training kicked in. He saw it immediately. This is not random. This is strategic. Someone is targeting their supply lines. Exactly. Someone is fighting back. Someone with ships, and weapons, and training. That is impossible. We lost. Everyone knows we lost. Did we? Mincio's eyes were bright, intense. Or did someone want the Vacrians to think we lost? Endry. 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 Before Deho could respond, the lunch horn blared. Mincio vanished into the crowd. Deho sat there, his food forgotten. His mind was racing. Could it be true? Could part of humanity's military have survived? Hidden somewhere in space? Fighting a secret war? He thought about the message again. The Reaper still hunts. Maybe it was not just Junho. Maybe it was bigger than that. Across the city, in the ruins of Old Seoul, Heijin gathered her people. There were only 8 of them left now. The rest had died in failed attacks. But she would not stop. She could not stop. We hit the power station tonight, she said. We take out the grid for the Western District. A man named Teho shook his head. That will kill the lights in the human quarters too. Our people will suffer. Our people are already suffering, Heijin snapped. At least this way we hurt them too. Heijin, we need to think about this differently, a woman named Jiwan said. She was a doctor who had been forced to work in the Vacrian hospitals. I heard something today. From a wounded Vacrian soldier. What? He was delirious, dying. He kept saying the same thing over and over. The Reaper. The Reaper wears their face but fights like a demon. Everyone went quiet. What does that mean? Teho asked. I do not know, Jiwan admitted. But he was terrified. I have seen a lot of wounded Vacrians. They are usually arrogant, confident. This one was scared. Heijin felt something stir in her chest. Something she had not felt in months. Hope. What else did he say? Nothing clear, just fragments. Something about ships that appear from nowhere. About humans who should not exist. About an admiral who is hunting them. An admiral? We do not have any admirals anymore. They are all dead. 2. That is what I thought too, Jiwan said quietly. But what if we are wrong? What if some of our military survived? Heijin stood up and paced. If that is true, why have they not come to free us? Why are we still in these camps? Nobody had an answer. Far away, in the cold darkness between stars, Admiral Krenzak found his first clue. The wreckage of a Vacrian convoy floated in space. 15 ships torn apart. The metal was cut with incredible precision. This was not weapons fire. This was something else. Admiral, his science officer called. I found something. They brought it to the bridge. A small piece of metal. Human writing was carved into it. Simple words in English. We are still here. Krenzak felt his blood run cold. The humans. It was the humans. But how? Their fleet was destroyed. He had seen the reports himself. Every major shipyard bombed. Every military installation captured. Scan the area, he ordered. Full spectrum. I want to know what did this. The scans took 3 hours. What they found made no sense. Trace elements in the debris. Residue from weapons that matched human technology. But there were also elements they did not recognize. Modifications. Improvements. They are using our technology against us, the science officer said. They salvaged our weapons and integrated them into their own systems. That is impossible. We destroyed their infrastructure. They cannot build ships. Then where are these ships coming from? Krenzak had no answer. He stared at the wreckage and felt something he had not felt in decades. Uncertainty. Fear. Send a message to High Command, he said. Tell them this is not pirates. This is not random attacks. This is organized military action. The humans are still fighting. Sir, High Command will not believe that. The humans surrendered. Did they? Or did we assume victory too quickly? The question hung in the air like poison. Back on Earth, Deho received another message. This time, it was different. Longer. More detailed. It gave him coordinates. A location in the old subway tunnels beneath Seoul. A time. Midnight. He almost ignored it. This could be a trap. The Vakrians could be testing him. But something in his gut told him to go. Some instinct that had kept him alive through 5 years of Special Forces missions. At midnight, he slipped out of the barracks. The guards were lazy at night. They believed the humans were broken, too scared to cause trouble. Deho used that arrogance. He moved through shadows like a ghost. The subway tunnels were dark and flooded. He waded through waist-deep water, following the coordinates. Finally, he reached a sealed door. Old human military seal. He recognized it immediately. He knocked 3 times, paused, knocked twice. The door opened. Minseo stood there with 5 other people. They all looked like workers, like slaves. But their eyes were different. Alert. Dangerous. Come in quickly, Minseo said. Inside was a hidden room. Old military equipment. Computers. Communication systems. All of it carefully hidden from Vakrian sensors. What is this? Deho asked. A resistance cell, Minseo said. But not like Heijin's group. We are not trying to blow things up. We are gathering information, tracking patterns, trying to understand what is really happening. She activated a display. It showed the star map again. More red dots. More destroyed Vakrian ships. We have been monitoring their communications, Minseo explained. They are panicking. They do not understand what is happening. But we do. We do? Minseo smiled. The attacks follow a pattern. They are strategic, coordinated, military precision. Someone out there is fighting a war, a real war, and they are winning. Deho felt his heart pounding. Who? We do not know for sure. But the pattern started exactly 3 months after the invasion. Exactly when anyone escaping Earth would have reached the outer colonies. You think our people escaped? During the invasion? I think someone planned this, Minseo said. I think the surrender was not complete. I think part of our military disappeared on purpose. Deho thought about Junho. About the message. The Reaper still hunts. My brother, he said quietly. He sent me a message. He called himself the Reaper. That was his call sign. Everyone in the room went still. What was your brother's rank? Someone asked. Commander. Special Forces. Minseo's hands were shaking. Deho. What was his full name? Junho. Why? She typed frantically on her computer. Files appeared. Classified military records she had somehow stolen from Vakrian databases. There it was. Commander Junho. Status. Killed. In action. But there was a note attached. A single line added after the invasion ended. Status unconfirmed. Body never recovered. Deho stared at the screen. His brother was alive. Somewhere out in the darkness, Junho was alive. And he was hunting the Vakrians. We need to help him, Deho said. We will, Minseo replied. But first, we need to survive. The Vakrians are getting scared. When they get scared, they get violent. Something big is coming. She was right. 3 days later, Commander Velthar made another broadcast. This time, his message was different. This time, he was not confident. Any human found with unauthorized communication equipment will be executed. Any human suspected of sabotage will be executed. Any human who does not report suspicious activity will be executed. That, with common day, we have condreted for 7. The camps went silent. Terror spread like disease. But Deho felt something else. He felt hope. Because if the Vacrians were this scared, it meant they were losing. The Reaper was hunting. And soon, very soon, the Vacrians would understand what that meant. They thought they had conquered humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 1 year after the invasion, the truth finally revealed itself. Not all at once, not like a bomb, but slowly, like poison spreading through veins. Deho sat in the hidden room with Minseo and her team. They had been working for months now, stealing information, hacking Vacrian systems. Piece by piece, they built a picture of what was really happening. "Look at this," Minseo said. Her fingers danced across the keyboard. "I cracked their classified archives. The files they keep locked even from their own people." A document appeared on the screen. Vacrian military records from the invasion. Deho leaned forward to read. "What am I looking at?" "Casualty reports from the final battle." Minseo highlighted several sections. The Vacrians claim they destroyed Earth's entire fleet. Every ship, every orbital platform, every defense satellite. They did. We all saw it happen. Did we? Minseo pulled up another file. "Look at this. It is a scan of Earth orbit taken 2 days before the final battle. The Vacrians counted 347 human ships." "Yes, that sounds right. Now look at this. The scan from after the battle. They count 312 destroyed ships." Deho froze. 35 ships are missing. Exactly. 35 ships that were there before the battle, but not counted in the wreckage after. Maybe they were completely destroyed, vaporized. Minseo shook her head. "Vacrian weapons do not vaporize ships. They tear them apart. There is always debris, always wreckage. But 35 ships just vanished." Another person in the room spoke up. His name was Kang Min, former naval officer. "What kind of ships were they?" Minseo checked the files. "Mostly small vessels. Frigates, destroyers, fast attack craft, and 3 carrier groups." Kangmin whistled softly. "Carrier groups, that means support ships, supply vessels, medical bays. Everything you need for long-term operations, or long-term escape," Deho said quietly. The room went silent. Everyone understood what this meant. 35 ships had disappeared during the battle. Not destroyed. Disappeared. Someone had evacuated them. Hidden them. Made the Vacrians think they were destroyed. "There is more," Minseo said. She pulled up another file. "Population records. The Vacrians have been counting humans since they occupied Earth. They are very precise about it. They want to know exactly how many slaves they have. And the numbers do not match. Earth's population before the invasion was 9 billion people. The Vacrian count says they control 6 billion humans. Tessin, Tessin, Exin, Tessin, Tessin, Tessin. 3 billion people died in the invasion," Kangmin said bitterly. "We all know that." "Did they?" Minseo asked. "Or are 3 billion people somewhere else?" Deho felt his heart racing. "You are saying the evacuation was not just ships. It was people too. I am saying someone planned this. Someone looked at the Vacrian forces and knew we could not win a direct fight. So they changed the strategy. They made the Vacrians think they won. Made them believe Earth surrendered completely. And while the Vacrians celebrated their victory, a third of humanity vanished into space." "That is impossible," someone said. "Moving 3 billion people? The logistics alone would take months," Kangmin interrupted. "Which is exactly how long the invasion lasted. 3 months. What if the fighting was not about winning? What if it was about buying time?" Deho thought about Junho. About all the battles they fought. Every time they held a position, it was always just long enough. They would fight for hours, then receive orders to fall back. The next unit would take over. Hold the line again. Fall back again. At the time, he thought they were just losing slowly. Now he saw the pattern. They were not losing. They were delaying. Buying time for ships to launch. For people to evacuate. For the real plan to unfold. Who could organize something like this? Deho asked. This would require coordination between every nation, every military, every government. Mincio pulled up one final file. This is from the Vakrian Intelligence Division. A report written 3 days before the invasion ended. It lists Earth's leadership, presidents, prime ministers, military commanders, all of them. She highlighted a section at the bottom. 23 people on this list are marked as killed in action. But the Vakrians never found bodies. They assumed these people died in the fighting. Let me guess, Kangman said. 23 is the exact number needed to run a fleet operation of 35 ships? Actually, it is the exact number needed to run a planetary evacuation and establish a military command structure in exile. Deho stared at the names. He recognized some of them. Admiral Park, General Kim, Commander Choi. All dead. All supposedly killed in the invasion. They faked their deaths, he whispered. They let the Vakrians think they won, then took a fleet and 3 billion people and disappeared. Not disappeared, Mincio corrected. Hiding. Waiting. Planning. Planning what? She brought up the star map again. The red dots had multiplied. There were over 100 now. Vakrian ships destroyed across a dozen systems. The pattern was clear. The attacks were getting closer to Earth, closer to Vakrian core territory. They are coming back, Mincio said. The fleet did not run away. They left so they could regroup, learn, prepare, and now they are returning. Kangmin studied the map with professional eyes. This is brilliant. The Vakrians think they control Earth. They moved most of their fleet away to other conquests. They left minimal forces here because they believe we are defeated, broken, which means Earth is now a weak point in their empire, Deho realized. And when the fleet returns, we become a weapon inside their own territory, Mincio finished. Everyone in the room understood now. Earth was not a conquered world. It was a trap. 6 billion humans working in Vakrian factories, building Vakrian weapons, appearing completely broken and defeated. But really, they were an army waiting to activate. We need to contact them, Deho said. The fleet. We need to coordinate. I have been trying, Mincio admitted. But their communication protocols are advanced. Military-grade encryption. I cannot break it. My brother can, Deho said. Junho. He is out there somewhere. He sent me a message once. He can send another. How do we reach him? Deho thought for a moment. We do what we do best. We fight. We make noise. We show the fleet that Earth is ready. That is suicide, someone protested. The Vakrians will slaughter us. Maybe, Deho agreed. But if we time it right, if we create enough chaos, the fleet will see it. They will know we are ready to help. Mincio nodded slowly. We would need to coordinate with the other resistance cells. Hagen's group. All of them. Can you find them? I can find anyone. Over the next 2 weeks, Mincio worked her magic. She found resistance cells across Earth. Hundreds of them. Most were small. Desperate. Running suicide missions that accomplished nothing. But now they would have a real plan. A real purpose. Deho met with Hagen in the ruins of an old building. She looked older now. Tired. But her eyes still burned with anger. You want us to wait? She said. To just sit here while more of our people die? I want you to wait until we can actually win, Deho replied. And you think the fleet is real? That our people are out there? I know they are. The data proves it. Hagen was silent for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. What do you need us to do? Be ready. When the signal comes, we hit every Vakrian installation on Earth at the same time. Power stations, communication hubs, military bases, everything. We create chaos. We make the Vakrians think Earth is rising up. And then the fleet arrives and we show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humanity. Meanwhile, far away in space, Admiral Krenzak was having a very bad day. His superiors had finally listened to his warnings. They sent him reinforcements. A full battle fleet. 200 ships. The best the Vakrian Empire had to offer. Their mission was simple. Find the human fleet and destroy it. But finding the humans was proving impossible. They hit and ran. They appeared from nowhere, destroyed a target, and vanished before reinforcements arrived. They knew Vakrian patrol patterns, knew communication protocols, knew everything. They are using our own technology, Krenzak's intelligence officer reported. Every ship they destroy, they salvage. They learn, adapt, improve. How is that possible? The humans are primitive. They barely had faster than light travel. Before we conquered them, they learn fast, and they are getting help. Help? From who? The intelligence officer pulled up a report. We intercepted a transmission 3 days ago. Brief, encrypted. We could not decode most of it, but we identified the source. It came from Earth. Krenzak felt cold. Earth? Our Earth? The occupied world? Yes, sir. Someone on Earth is feeding information to the fleet. Patrol schedules, supply routes, defense weaknesses, everything. That is impossible. We monitor all human communications. Clearly not all of them. Krenzak stood and paced. This was worse than he thought. The humans on Earth were not defeated. They were collaborating with the fleet, feeding them intelligence, preparing for something. Increase security on Earth, he ordered. Triple the guard presence. Monitor everything. If the humans are planning something, I want to know about it. Yes, Admiral. But Krenzak knew it was too late. He could feel it. The trap was closing. The humans had played dead for a year, letting the Vakrians believe they won, letting them get comfortable, arrogant, and now the humans were ready to strike. On Earth, Jiwan continued her work in the Vakrian hospital. She was gentle with the wounded soldiers. Kind. They trusted her. They talked to her. That was her job. To listen. To learn. To gather information. One soldier told her about the fleet movements, how the Vakrians were pulling ships away from Earth to hunt the human fleet. Another told her about the panic in high command, how the admirals were arguing. Some wanted to abandon Earth. Others wanted to use the human prisoners as hostages. All of it, Jiwan passed to Minseo, who passed it to the fleet. Every piece of intelligence brought them closer to victory. Late one night, Deho received another message. This one was longer, more detailed. It contained coordinates, targets, timing, and at the bottom, a single line. When I remove my mask, the galaxy will see who we really are. Deho read it 3 times. Junho was not just alive. He was leading them. The Reaper had become an admiral. The young soldier who fought beside Deho in Seoul now commanded the entire human fleet. Pride and fear mixed in Deho's chest. Pride that his brother had survived, had become something greater. Fear that the mask Junho mentioned was not just tactical, that his brother had changed into something cold, something hard. But that was a worry for later. Right now, they had work to do. Minseo, Deho called. Send the signal to all resistance cells. Tell them to prepare. The time is coming. How long? Deho looked at the message again. At the timeline, Junho had sent 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the Vakrians are going to learn they never conquered Earth. They are going to learn we were just waiting. And we were just getting started. The pieces were in place. The trap was set. The Vakrians thought they triumphed. They thought humanity was broken. They were about to learn the truth, and the truth was going to destroy them. 14 months after the invasion, the mask finally came off. It started at midnight. Across Earth, in every camp, every factory, every prison, the lights went out. Not by accident, not by malfunction, by design. Deho stood in the darkness of the factory floor. Around him, hundreds of humans waited in silence. They had been waiting for this moment for a year. Some had weapons they built in secret. Others had only their hands. But all of them were ready. Now, Deho whispered into his communicator. The explosion rocked the western wall. Then the northern gate. Then the guard towers. Minseo and her team had placed charges for weeks, hiding them in plain sight. While the Vakrians watched and saw nothing, alarms screamed. Vakrian guards rushed toward the breaches. They expected panic. They expected humans running in terror. Instead, they found humans running toward them. Deho led the charge. His hands held a metal pipe. Not much of a weapon, but enough. The first guard he reached was caught off balance. Deho swung the pipe into the creature's knee joint. The guard collapsed. Deho took its weapon and kept moving. Around him, the factory workers transformed. No longer slaves, now soldiers. They moved with purpose, with training. Thousands of former military personnel, who had been pretending to be broken for a year, the Vakrians had made a mistake. They assumed humans would stay defeated. They never considered that soldiers could hide among workers, that special forces could pretend to be laborers. "Secure the armory," Deho shouted. A team broke off and ran toward the weapons storage. More explosions. More screams. Across the city, Heejin's team hit the power station. Not to destroy it completely, just to control it. They needed the infrastructure intact for when the fleet arrived. But they needed to blind the Vakrians first. "Cut the communication lines," Heejin ordered. Her people moved like ghosts through the station. The Vakrian technicians never saw them coming. Within minutes, the entire district was dark and silent. In the hospital, Jiwon moved through the corridors. She carried a tray of medicine. The guards let her pass without question. They trusted her. That was their last mistake. The medicine was poison. Not fast-acting. Slow. Subtle. She had been dosing the Vakrian officers for weeks, building it up in their systems. Tonight was the trigger. She added one final compound to their water supply. Within an hour, every Vakrian officer in the hospital would be too sick to fight. Many would die. Jiwon felt no guilt. These were the same creatures who had turned children into ash on live broadcasts. All across Earth, the pattern repeated. Humans who had appeared broken suddenly revealed teeth. Factory workers became soldiers. Doctors became poisoners. Engineers became saboteurs. Commander Velthar received the first reports in his command center. He could not believe what he was reading. "Impossible," he said. "The humans are rioting? All of them? Everywhere at once?" "Yes, Commander," his aide replied. "Every camp on Earth is reporting uprisings. They are organized, coordinated. This is not random chaos." Velthar slammed his fist on the console. "How?" "We monitored their communications. We watched them constantly. How did they organize this?" Nobody had an answer. "Send in the suppression forces," Velthar ordered. "Kill as many as necessary. Make them remember why they fear us." But the suppression forces never arrived. The humans had cut the roads, destroyed the bridges, sabotaged the transport systems. The Vakrian reinforcements were trapped in their bases, unable to reach the fighting. Velthar stared at the screens in growing horror. This was not a riot. This was a military operation. The humans had been planning this for months, maybe from the very beginning. "Get me Admiral Krenzak," he demanded. "We need orbital support. Bomb the camps from space if necessary." His aide's face went pale. "Commander, We cannot reach the Admiral. What do you mean? His fleet is gone. It left orbit 3 hours ago. Gone? Gone where? We do not know. All long-range communications are down. Velthar felt ice in his veins. The fleet was gone. The communications were down. The humans were rising up. This was all connected. This was all planned. Far above Earth, in the darkness of space, Admiral Krenzak faced his own nightmare. They had appeared without warning. One moment, his sensors showed nothing. The next moment, 35 human ships surrounded his fleet. No, not surrounded. Positioned. Perfectly positioned to maximize damage and minimize his response options. Battle stations, Krenzak shouted. The human ships opened fire. Not with primitive weapons, with Vakrion weapons, salvaged and modified and improved. They knew exactly where to aim, exactly which systems to target. Krenzak's flagship shuddered as the shields failed. How did they penetrate the shields? Those were Vakrion shields, the best in the galaxy. They are using our own frequency codes, his tactical officer reported. Our shields do not recognize their weapons as hostile until impact. Override the codes. I am trying, but they keep changing. They know our systems better than we do. It was true. The humans had spent a year studying every piece of Vakrion technology they could find. Learning, adapting, improving. Now, they used that knowledge like a knife. Send a distress signal to the homeworld, Krenzak ordered. Communications are jammed, sir. We cannot transmit. Of course they were. The humans thought of everything. Then one of the human ships moved closer. Close enough for visual identification. Krenzak stared at it through the viewport. It was a modified Vakrion carrier, captured during one of the raids and rebuilt. Human technology merged with Vakrion design, and on its hull, painted in huge letters, was a single word in human script: Reaper. Krenzak's blood ran cold. The Reaper, the ghost that had been haunting his fleet for a year. Now it had a face. A ship. A fleet. A transmission came through. Audio only. A human voice. Speaking perfect Vakrion. Admiral Krenzak. This is Fleet Admiral Junho of the United Human Resistance. You thought you defeated us. You thought Earth surrendered. You were wrong. Krenzak activated his own transmission. You cannot win. Human. We have thousands of ships. You have 35. Had thousands, Junho corrected. We have been destroying them for a year. And we have more than 35 ships now. We have been building, learning, growing. While you celebrated your victory, we prepared for war. You are bluffing. Am I? The transmission changed to visual. Krenzak saw the human for the first time. Young, Korean features, cold eyes, and behind him, tactical displays showing hundreds of human ships, all built from salvaged Vakrion technology, all crewed by the 3 billion humans who supposedly died in the invasion. Impossible, Krenzak whispered. You made assumptions, Junho said. You assumed we fought with everything we had. You assumed the surrender was complete. You assumed the casualties were real. Every assumption was wrong. You sacrificed billions of your own people. Left them to suffer in camps. I left them to be soldiers behind enemy lines, Junho replied. Do you know what is happening on Earth right now, Admiral? Your occupation is collapsing. 6 billion humans are rising up, and they are not scared anymore. They are angry. As if to prove his point, Junho displayed a transmission from Earth. Video feeds from a dozen camps. Humans fighting. Winning. Vakrion guards. Being overwhelmed. The camps are falling, Junho continued. Your fleet here is surrounded. Your reinforcements are too far away. You have lost, Admiral. You just do not know it yet. Krenzak looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? They were outmaneuvered, outfought, outsmarted. "I will not surrender," Krenzak said. "I did not ask you to," Junho replied. "I am giving you a choice. Retreat now. Take your surviving ships and leave Earth system. Or stay and die. You have 60 seconds to decide. This is not over. Our empire will return with overwhelming force. Let them come. We will be ready. And, Admiral, tell your empire something for me. Tell them that humanity does not break. We bend, we adapt, we learn, and then we fight back. Earth was never conquered. It was just waiting." The transmission ended. Krenzak looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was already disabled. The human ships had positioned themselves perfectly. If he tried to fight, they would tear his fleet apart. "Retreat," he ordered. The words tasted like poison. "All ships, jump to hyperspace. Now. Now. Now." His fleet scattered, running like animals. The Vakrians had come to Earth as conquerors. They left as survivors. On the Reaper, Junho watched them go. His face showed no emotion, no joy, no anger, just cold calculation. "Should we pursue?" his second officer asked. "No. Let them run. Let them tell their empire what happened here. Let them spread fear." Junho turned to face his crew. They were all humans. All survivors of the invasion. All people who had spent a year hiding in space, building ships, planning revenge. "Send the signal to Earth," Junho ordered. "Tell the Resistance that the orbital fleet is gone. Tell them to secure all Vakrian installations. Tell them we are coming home." "Junho. All. Junho." The crew cheered. For the first time in a year, they let themselves feel hope. But Junho did not cheer. He walked to his private quarters and stood before a mirror. The face, looking back at him, was not the young soldier who fought in Seoul. That person was gone, buried under a year of command decisions. A year of sacrifice. A year of wearing the mask of the Reaper. He reached up and touched his face, wondering if he would ever recognize himself again. On Earth, Daeho stood in the ruins of Camp 7. The Vakrian guards were gone. Dead or captured or fled. The humans were free. All around him, people were crying, celebrating, holding each other. Heijin appeared beside him. Blood on her clothes. Exhaustion in her eyes. But also, something else. Pride. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it. We survived," Daeho corrected. "That is not the same as winning." "Then what is winning?" Before Daeho could answer, a ship descended from the sky. Human design. Modified Vakrian technology. The Reaper had come home. The landing ramp lowered. Soldiers emerged. And finally, at the top of the ramp, Admiral Junho appeared. Daeho barely recognized him. His brother had changed. Harder. Colder. The uniform he wore was not Korean military. It was something new. Something that represented all of humanity united. Their eyes met across the distance. Junho descended the ramp slowly. When he reached Daeho, they stood face to face, brothers separated by a year of war. "You are alive," Daeho said quietly. "So are you," Junho replied. His voice was different, controlled, distant. "What happened to you?" Junho looked away. "I became what humanity needed. I wore the mask of the Reaper, so our people could survive. And now, the Vakrians are retreating. We won. This is not victory," Junho said. "This is just the beginning. The Vakrian Empire will return. They will bring their full military might. We hurt them today. We embarrassed them. They will want revenge. Then what do we do?" Junho looked up at the sky. At the stars, where 3 billion humans still waited in hidden colonies. At the future, they had fought so hard to secure. We prepare, we build, we make sure that when they return, they find something they never expected. Not a conquered world, not a defeated species, but an empire of our own. Daeho saw it then. The cost of their survival. Junho had not just worn a mask. He had become it. The cold strategist. The ruthless commander. The Reaper. Was it worth it? Daeho asked. Sacrificing yourself like this? Junho finally looked at him. For just a moment, the mask slipped. Daeho saw pain there. Loneliness. Grief. Ask me again when our people are truly free, Junho said quietly. Ask me when Earth is strong enough that no alien empire will ever threaten us again. Then maybe I will have an answer. He turned and walked toward the command center. Soldiers followed him. He had a world to rebuild. An empire to prepare for. A war to finish. Daeho watched him go. His brother, the Reaper, the man who saved humanity by losing himself. Around them, Earth began to heal. But the scars would remain, both on the planet and on the people who fought to free it. The Vakrians thought they had triumphed. They were wrong. But humanity's victory came with a price. And that price was paid in the faces of people like Junho, people who wore masks for so long they forgot what was underneath. The war was not over. It was just beginning. And humanity would be ready. 3 months after liberation, Earth was unrecognizable. The camps were gone, torn down, and replaced with hospitals, schools, and training facilities. The factories still ran, but now they built human ships instead of Vakrian weapons. Every city worked around the clock to prepare for what everyone knew was coming. The Vakrian Empire would return. The question was, when? Not if. Daeho stood on the roof of what used to be Camp 7. Now it was a military command center. He watched ships rise into the sky every hour. New vessels built from scavenged Vakrian technology and human innovation. The fleet was growing. Still thinking about him? Heijin asked. She appeared beside him carrying 2 cups of coffee. Real coffee. Not the paste they survived on during occupation. Is it that obvious? Daeho accepted the cup. You have been standing here every morning for a week, always looking at the same ship. She pointed to the Reaper, docked at the orbital platform above them. He has not come down to the surface since we won, Daeho said. 3 months, he stays up there, working, planning, never resting. He is preparing for the next war. He is hiding from himself. Heijin was quiet for a moment. Maybe both things are true. Down below, the city was alive with activity. People rebuilding homes. Children playing in streets that were camps just months ago. It should have felt like victory. But Daeho could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. How many executions this week? He asked. Heijin's face darkened. 73. All Vakrian prisoners who refused to cooperate. Junho's orders? Who else? That was the problem. Junho had become ruthless, efficient. The Vakrians who surrendered were given 2 choices. Help humanity rebuild with their technology and knowledge, or die. Those who refused were executed without trial, without mercy. He is becoming like them, Daeho said quietly. Or maybe he is becoming what we need to survive, Heijin countered. We cannot be soft anymore. Daeho. The galaxy is full of species like the Vakrians. If we show weakness, they will destroy us. Daeho knew she was right, but it still hurt to see what his brother had become. That afternoon, Minseo called an emergency meeting. Her face was pale when Daeho and Heijin arrived at the command center. What is wrong? We intercepted a transmission. From deep space, Minseo activated the display. A Vakrian message appeared, decoded and translated. The Vakrian Empire is coming, and they are not coming alone. The message was simple, a declaration of war, but it revealed something terrifying. The Vakrians had called for help. They contacted their allied empires, species that humanity had never encountered before. How many? Heijin asked. 6 different empires, thousands of ships. They are forming a coalition to crush Earth before we become a threat. Minseo pulled up the tactical data. They will arrive in 4 months. Maybe less. Daeho felt his stomach drop. We cannot fight that many. We barely defeated 1 Vakrian fleet. Which is why Junho is calling everyone back, Minseo said. The 3 billion humans in the hidden colonies. All the ships. All the resources. Everything is coming home. 5. Everything. 5. 5. A notification appeared on the display. A message from the Reaper. Junho was calling a full command meeting. Every resistance leader, every military officer, every government representative who survived the invasion. 2 hours later, they gathered in the main assembly hall. Thousands of people filled the room. The lights dimmed. A holographic projection appeared at the front. Fleet Admiral Junho. He looked older than he should. The year in space had aged him, but his eyes were still sharp, still calculating. 4 months, Junho said without preamble. That is how long we have before the largest invasion force in galactic history arrives at Earth. 6 empires, thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. They are coming to finish what the Vakrians started. Silence filled the hall. Everyone knew this was coming, but hearing it made it real. We have 3 options, Junho continued. First, we can surrender. Beg for mercy. Maybe some of us survive as slaves again. His voice was cold. I do not recommend this option. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Second, we can run. Take our ships and our people and disappear into deep space. Find a new world. Start over. Junho paused. But running means abandoning Earth. Our home. The graves of everyone who died fighting for it. I do not recommend this option either. Which leaves the third option, Junho said. His face hardened. We fight. We make Earth into a fortress that no empire can break. We show the galaxy that humanity is not prey. We are predators. The crowd erupted in cheers. But Daeho noticed something. Junho did not smile, did not celebrate. He just waited for silence. This will not be easy. Junho continued. We need to mobilize every resource, every person, every ship. The colonies will evacuate. All 3 billion people are coming home. We will turn Earth and the Moon and Mars into weapons. We will build defenses that make the Vakrians look primitive. He pulled up a holographic display. Plans, blueprints, massive orbital platforms, weapon systems, planetary shields. We have 4 months to build what should take 4 years. We will work around the clock. No breaks, no rest. If you are not building, you are training. If you are not training, you are fighting. Everyone becomes a soldier. Everyone becomes a weapon. Daeho looked around the room. People were nodding, determined, but also scared. This was asking for everything. No room for normal life. No room for peace. I know what I am asking, Junho said quietly. I know the cost, but the alternative is extinction. So I need you to make a choice. Right now. Will you fight? The answer came like thunder. Thousands of voices shouting together. Yes. Will you sacrifice everything to protect our home? Yes. Will you show these alien empires that humanity does not surrender? Yes. Junho nodded once. Then we begin today. Dismissed. The crowd dispersed. People rushed to their assignments. The work began immediately. But Daeho stayed behind. He watched Junho's hologram flicker and fade. You want to talk to him? Heijin said beside him. He is my brother. I barely recognize him anymore. Experience. Then go. Before it is too late. Daeho took a transport up to the Reaper. The orbital platform was massive now, Dozens of ships being built or repaired. Thousands of workers moving like ants. He found Junho in the command center. Alone. Staring at displays full of data, battle plans, resource calculations, casualty projections. Junho. Daeho said quietly. His brother did not turn around. You should be on the surface, helping with the fortifications. I came to see you. I am busy. You are always busy. You have not left this ship in 3 months. There is too much work to do. Daeho walked closer. When did you stop being my brother and become only the Reaper? Junho finally turned. His face was tired. Empty. The day I decided that 6 billion lives were more important than one man's soul. You do not have to do this alone. Yes, I do. Someone has to make the hard choices. Someone has to carry the weight. I chose to be that person. And what happens when the war is over? When we win, will you remember how to be human again? Well those. Junho was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I do not know if there will be an after. The projections show heavy casualties. 70% of our population might die defending Earth. Then why fight? If the cost is that high? Because the 30% who survive will be free. They will live in a galaxy that knows humanity cannot be conquered. They will build a future where no alien empire ever threatens us again. Junho turned back to his displays. That is worth any price. Even if the price is me. Junho 10. Junho 10. Junho 10. Junho 10. Daeho felt tears in his eyes. His brother was not lost. He had sacrificed himself. Given up everything, he was to become what humanity needed. Junho, when this is over, I will help you find yourself again. I promise. Do not make promises you cannot keep, brother. Now go. Help prepare the defenses. I need you alive when the battle begins. Over the next 4 months, Earth transformed into something the galaxy had never seen. A fortress world. Ji-Wan led the medical corps, training every civilian in emergency care. If the battle went poorly, there would be casualties beyond counting. She prepared hospitals underground, protected from orbital bombardment. Mincio organized the communication networks. Every ship, every platform, every soldier would be linked. Information would flow instantly. The humans would fight as one organism. Kangmin trained the new fleet crews. People who had been factory workers 6 months ago now piloted warships. The learning curve was brutal, but humans adapted quickly. Heijin commanded the ground forces. Millions of soldiers, equipped with salvaged Vakrian weapons and human innovations. If the enemy made it past the orbital defenses, they would find Earth's surface even more dangerous, and Daeho coordinated it all. He became Junho's link to the surface, the voice that reminded the Reaper that he was still fighting for people, not just strategy. The colonies arrived 2 months before the deadline. 3 billion humans returned to Earth system. Ships filled the orbital space. Families reunited after a year apart. Children met parents. They barely remembered, but there was no time for celebration. Everyone went immediately to work. The population of Earth doubled overnight, and every person had a job. Build, train, prepare, fight. The alien coalition appeared exactly on schedule. 6,000 ships, multiple species, all united in one goal: destroy humanity before it became a galactic threat. They expected to find a primitive world still recovering from Vakrian occupation. They expected easy victory. Instead, they found a nightmare. Earth was surrounded by 3 rings of orbital platforms. Each platform armed with weapons from a dozen different alien technologies, all modified and improved by human engineers. The Moon was now a weapons platform. Mars had been turned into a shipyard that produced new vessels daily, and between the planets, the human fleet waited. 500 ships. Not nearly enough to match the enemy in number, but each one crewed by people who had survived the impossible. People who had been broken and rebuilt themselves stronger. The coalition sent a message: surrender or die. Junho sent a reply: this is Fleet Admiral Junho of the United Human Defense Force. You came here to destroy us, to prevent humanity from becoming a threat. You are too late. We are already a threat, and we will show you why. The battle began. It lasted 3 days. The longest 3 days in human history. The first day, the coalition broke through the outer defenses. Human casualties were massive. Entire platforms destroyed. Thousands dead in minutes. But the humans did not retreat. They fell back to the second ring and kept fighting. The second day, the coalition reached Earth orbit. Their ships blocked out the sun. They began bombardment. Cities burned. But the orbital defenses held, and the human fleet struck back, targeting the coalition's command ships. Junho commanded from the Reaper. He did not sleep, did not eat. He just calculated and ordered and sacrificed. Whole ships thrown away to buy seconds of advantage. Daeho fought on the surface. When enemy troops landed in Seoul, he led the defense. His special forces training came back like muscle memory. He killed aliens who thought humans were weak. Heijin's ground forces turned every city into a death trap. The aliens learned that conquering Earth from orbit was one thing. Taking it street by street was impossible. The third day, humanity played its final card. Minseo had spent months preparing a virus. A computer program designed to infect alien systems. Every time the coalition hacked a human database or captured a ship, they took the virus with them. Now it activated all at once. 6,000 enemy ships suddenly lost navigation. Weapons, systems, communications. For 10 minutes, the coalition fleet was blind and helpless. 10 minutes was all humanity needed. The human fleet launched everything. Every weapon, every missile, every last ship that could still fly. When it was over, the coalition fleet was shattered. 4,000 ships destroyed. The survivors retreated in chaos. Junho broadcast a message across the galaxy. Not just to the coalition. To everyone who was watching. I am Fleet Admiral Junho, commander of Earth's defense forces. Today, 6 empires came to destroy humanity. They failed. They thought we were weak because we were conquered. They were wrong. Humanity does not stay conquered. We adapt. We learn. We fight back. And we win. He paused. When he spoke again, his voice was cold, final. This is our message to the galaxy. Leave Earth alone. Leave humanity alone. Or learn the same lesson these empires learned today. We are not your prey. We are not your slaves. We are humanity. And we will never surrender. The transmission ended. In the command center of the Reaper, Junho finally allowed himself to stop. The battle was won. Earth was saved. The coalition was destroyed. He had done it. He had saved humanity. But at what cost? He looked at his hands. They were shaking. When had they started shaking? Daeho found him an hour later, sitting alone in his quarters, staring at nothing. Junho? His brother looked up. And for the first time, in over a year, tears streamed down his face. I did terrible things, Junho whispered. I sent people to die. Thousands of them. I made choices that killed innocents. I became a monster. Daeho sat beside him. You became what we needed. But who am I now? The Reaper? The Admiral? I wore the mask for so long, I cannot remember the face underneath. Then we will help you remember. All of us. We will rebuild Earth. And we will rebuild you. Junho shook his head. I do not deserve that. You deserve it more than anyone. You saved us all. Outside, Earth began to count its dead. 40% of the population. Billions of lives. The cost was even higher than projected. But they were free, and they would stay free. A memorial was built in Seoul, a massive wall with every name of everyone who died. Junho visited it alone one night. He placed his admiral's insignia at the base. The mask of the Reaper. He did not need it anymore. "I am sorry," he said to the wall. To the names. To the ghosts. "I am sorry for what I had to do. But I promise you, your sacrifice will never be forgotten." He walked away from the memorial. Daeho was waiting for him. "Where do we go from here?" Junho asked. "Forward," Daeho replied. "We rebuild. We grow. We make sure this never happens again." "And what about me?" "You learn to be human again. It will take time. But we have time now." "We won, Junho. We actually won." Junho looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching, wondering what humanity would do next. The Vakrians thought they had triumphed. 6 empires thought they could finish the job. All of them were wrong. Humanity did not break. It bent. It adapted. It learned. And then it fought back with everything it had. The mask of the Reaper was gone, but the man underneath remained. Scarred. Changed. But alive. And so was Earth. The war was over. The real work was just beginning. But for the first time in over a year, there was hope. Humanity had proven itself. Not just to the galaxy, but to themselves. They were survivors, fighters, builders. They were humanity, and the galaxy would never forget it.